Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are talking about Uber Eats tries to scam me. Here's how I got paid anyway. So while doing my own gig work, I ended up getting an order from Uber Eats that caused a bit of drama for me and revealed some very interesting information. So while I tell you guys how I almost got scammed by Uber, I want to tell you a little bit more about my discoveries. So with that said, we are talking about how I almost got scammed by Uber Eats, what I discovered about Uber Eats support, and everything in between. But before we do that, let's go over a quick disclaimer. The content of this video does not contain as never intended to be legal, business, financial, tax, or health advice of any kind. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is advised that you conduct your own research and consult qualified professionals before applying anything you find online. I also want to be clear that I'm speaking from my own experience, and what my experience may be may not reflect yours. So with that said, let's get started. The order itself. So the order was all right. It was from a local gourmet coffee shop that just opened up around here. Crema Gourmet Espresso Bar. And in my area, they've been under construction for a good minute trying to get going, and they finally opened up. That said, the order was for $16 and going 9 miles. Not the best ratio, but it was possible that there was a hidden tip there, and in my mind, it was kind of worth it. Not gonna lie, I was curious to see what this place looked like. I'm not a coffee guy, but I'm always curious to see what the new place on the block is, you know? It was nice, trendy, no complaints, just a coffee shop. Again, I'm not a coffee person, so take that for what it is. That said, I arrived. They said I was like the third one for this order. That's never a good sign. And they said they never received it. It's not the worst outcome, I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, I thought she was gonna say something worse. And it could just be a new system error and they don't know how to handle it. I don't know what the problem was with their system, but I said I would call to have the order canceled because I wanted to make sure that they knew my face for that, for different reasons down the road. I'll talk about that a different day. Dealing with support. I hopped on the phone with support and went through the chat bot, which, by the way, does it seem more complex now to anyone else? Why does it feel like it takes longer to get past the chat bot these days? Anyway, once I did get past it all, I opted for the phone support because I find that the text chat support are run by people who couldn't care less about screwing you over, and they don't want it documented that they were trying to help you. Support can stop your ratings from getting worse. That said, I talked to support over the phone, and the first one was yapping on and claiming that this will not affect my ratings because Uber no longer provides cancellation fees, which we all know is BS, and it's just this additional verbal barrier to try to make sure you don't get paid what you're worth. And I also took a screenshot of my ratings before they canceled it so I can make sure everything is held accountable. And I said over the phone that I took a screenshot, so we're gonna find out if it doesn't actually affect ratings the way he just said, and he will be legally liable to that. They fed me this line about not being able to control the system and that it's automatic, and if that's actually the case, they wouldn't be claiming that. Why would you claim that it doesn't affect your ratings if you don't control the system and you know that it does? Oh, because you're lying? That's what I thought. Regardless, he canceled it and it didn't affect my ratings. That proves that they have more control than they let on. And that is the piss poor integrity and character of the support agents on display. Support hates independent contractors. That said, I still need a supervisor because they didn't pay me the cancellation fee I know I am entitled to. The first one tried to claim that they didn't provide the fee. Oh, and by the way, you're an independent contractor, who cares? And then hung up on me. I'm an independent contractor, who cares? This proves that there is discrimination within the Uber corporation. I received a comment from a previous video about being quick to assume discrimination, and I have to say that's just a gaslighting response from someone who is just trying to posture on you and hate on you for less than no reason. If they give you a hard time about being a gig worker or being a independent contractor and choose to be abusive to you and then following it up by claiming you are crazy for being discriminated against when that's literally what they said, that's abuse. That is straight abuse. That is like catching your partner cheating in the act and then gaslighting you into thinking you are crazy, and obviously they were wrestling and it just slipped in. That said, I wasn't giving up that easily. I was gonna call them about that myself, but I received this pop-up within the chat system. They're like, have we resolved the issue? And you say yes. And instead of us having the ability to rate the specific support agent, they're like, you know what, let's just try again, because they know they all suck. Look, honestly, that's actually a really convenient update, and I appreciate the ability to just give them a quick call back and not have to re-go through the chatbot system. We really need to be able to rate the people we were working with, and we really need a place to where we could hold them accountable for their actions and potentially sue them if necessary, if they aren't going to enforce their own rules themselves. That said, I called back and explained the issue to an agent again and asked for a supervisor, only to get the nonsense response.
Well, to set proper expectations.
If they ever immediately respond to you with that, they are trying to get you to acknowledge that it is justified to screw you over and give you a hard time about not paying your fee. We ended up going back and forth with each other while asking for a supervisor, and she just hung up on me too, proving that I was right. I tried again with the next agent, and they connected me to a supervisor, no problem. And this time was a little bit different though. I hopped on the phone with them and they didn't even let me say anything yet. Almost like he was rattling off the problem told to him by his support agent and kind of setting the tone as if he was going to just brush me off. And I think that was a tactic. If he just answers what he was told what the problem was without actually asking me or letting me speak, he could just hang up on me after his spiel, right? I mean, that's what happens when they just talk faster and try to talk over you. Honestly, I've experienced that so many times I wasn't even gonna let him try. I interrupted him mid-sentence. I said it was a violation of contract and I wanted my cancellation fee. And I got my 10 bucks. Might be time to move on. Look, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm thinking I might be a little jaded for this industry sometimes. I know I made a point earlier about there being discrimination and those who are calling you crazy or just abusing you, but I could also feel myself getting triggered before even doing anything. There are aspects of what I do that I like, don't get me wrong, but when people say you need to be built differently, they aren't kidding. You need to basically look past their bullshit before they even have a chance to do anything. That said, I'm also in the process of changing my position and building other things, so I am getting to the point where this type of gig work might soon just be in the way rather than helpful. I find I only take orders from on-demand apps when it is convenient rather than simply when I get a good order. Trust me, there is no more frustrating feeling than declining a good order when you are physically not able of taking it. And that said, I have that privilege because I've been developing exit strategies and diversifying my gig portfolio and overall income. Remember, the gig economy is an income bridge to what would be a long-term goal, not the goal. And one of those strategies that I've been working on is building my own delivery service provider, which you can learn how to do in the Build Your Own Delivery Service Provider course. I've partnered with experienced professionals to create a step-by-step guide and create a six-figure business in as little as 90 days. The course will guide you to build your own business foundation, sourcing and structuring your team, access to top-of-the-line technology and seamless integration, access to a community of high-level professionals in our industry, done-for-you contracts and financial protections. That way you can build your business to make the most amount of money in the least amount of time and in the safest possible way. And if you're ready to level up in your business journey, sign up and get started on transforming how businesses serve customers and how gig workers will get more and greater opportunities working with you. We are excited and looking forward to helping you secure your financial future. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time.